The digestive system has four basic functions. The first, ingestion, the act of eating or capturing food in the oral cavity. The second, digestion, the breaking apart of macromolecules into smaller monomers, and that begins in the oral cavity and is carried out by the stomach and the small intestine as well. Absorption of those small monomers into the bloodstream, which is carried out mainly by the small intestine, but the colon will also absorb water and ions into the blood as well. And then elimination, finally, the excretion of any undigested materials. We call this feces. They are stored in the rectum and expelled through the anus. So the digestive system begins with the oral cavity, which is your mouth containing your teeth and your tongue, and digestion occurs both mechanically as well as chemically. So mechanical digestion is that act of chewing, breaking apart the food by the movement of your jaws and the crushing of your teeth. The chemical digestion comes from the saliva that's present in your mouth, from salivary glands located just in front of your ear and below your tongue. That saliva contains salivary amylase, which is an enzyme that digests starch. And the act of swallowing is caused by the tongue that pushes what we call a bolus of food back towards the pharynx. The pharynx is the general area in the back of your throat. And there is a flap of tissue there called the epiglottis that sticks straight up. And as the bolus of food passes by that epiglottis, it folds it over the trachea, or the opening to the windpipe, the glottis. And that prevents that food from entering the respiratory system and instead continuing on down the esophagus. The act of swallowing continues as the esophagus pushes that food down towards the stomach. And from here on out, this is an involuntary set of muscle contractions that we refer to as peristalsis, these rhythmic involuntary contractions of smooth muscle that line the esophagus and line the rest of the digestive system as well. So as you can see here, the wave of contractions squeezes and pushes that bolus of food in one direction down towards the stomach. The stomach is a large J-shaped organ in your abdominal cavity that will receive that food from the esophagus, and that food will be digested and stored in the stomach until it works its way through the rest of the digestive system. So mainly the stomach's role is to digest food. Absorption of alcohol and some vitamins can occur, or does occur, but digestion is really the main function of the stomach. That digestion again is split into mechanical digestion, which is caused by the many muscular walls of the stomach contracting and churning that food around, and mixing that food with a couple of chemicals in what we would refer to as the chemical digestive portion of this, where hydrochloric acid, a very strong acid, is produced by the stomach to lower the pH to 2, which serves to kill any foreign microbes that come in on your food, as well as to denature very complex large polypeptides or proteins. Proteins are also digested in the stomach by the single enzyme pepsin that's released by the stomach. The stomach doesn't release any other enzymes except this one, again to start working on these very large polypeptides and get them down to a manageable size. Now that stomach will fill with this food solution mixing with these gastric juices to form what we call chyme. And that chyme is a very thick, soupy sort of liquid mixture that will slowly be released through a muscular structure called the pyloric sphincter at the base of the stomach. So slowly this muscular valve, if you will, opens slightly to squirt this chyme out, which will enter the small intestine next.